Welcome back to the vendor table.
Little role reversal right here.
This feels weird.
I feel very sexy in your glasses.
I'm telling you, like, we we shot together over the weekend, and Mike's bride put my glasses on and became a new person. I don't know what it is, but they turn you into a diva.
Yeah, Anne-Marie like totally like was vibing with your glasses.
Her mocha choca fuck you attitude.
Yeah, she like basically she owned it. I can't wait to post those photos because she crushed it.
Yeah, she was a whole mood.
I can't wear these. These are just like so like your head is so tiny.
I have a peanut head.
That they don't fit my head.
I have a deceptively small head for anybody who's watching.
She does. I didn't notice it until she went to put my hat on, and legitimately, it was like 4 sizes too big for her.
Every hat I ever buy, it just, too big for my head. Oh well.
Well, we're back with listener questions. You're gonna wear this the whole episode?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah?
Yeah.
People are gonna be so confused with the clips. All right, we're back with listener questions.
I should probably get my listener questions out.
We got a lot of them. It's we did last week, and man, you guys hit us with some. And I feel like this week there's a lot that we need to touch on.
Yeah, there's some good ones in here that we haven't done before, and some that are mildly upsetting.
Yeah. So let's kind of dive right into it.
Okay.
All right. Why don't you kick it off?
Do you think it's necessary for photographers to stay until the very end of the reception?
No.
Nah.
No, they don't need to.
Unless you have like a send-off of some sort planned.
Yeah, like a sparkler exit, anything like that, like where it's a actual send-off. Most photographers will end an hour to a half hour prior to the reception ending. It's just standard.
Usually the last formality is like right before the final hour of the reception anyway. So
yeah.
It's just one more hour of people dancing and saying goodbye.
Yeah, usually the last hour or so is just pure party dancing. And at that point, most photographers have gotten the shots required to, give the couple back. So, and it's usually by that point, like people are really bad dancing.
Yeah.
So,
Sometimes great.
Sometimes great. Yeah. Sometimes you see moments that are a little crazy, but if you want your photographer to stay at the end, that's fine. Like, there's
nothing wrong with that.
I've had a few couples that I base the timeline around their day and everything like that. And I'm ending an hour prior to the reception ending. And they're like, well, we're doing a send off. Would you mind, can we add an extra hour? And I absolutely will do that. Like, no problem. So, usually we'll coordinate that and make sure I'm there for that moment. But I don't think it's necessary, for an average wedding day with no send off or anything like that. Must play and not play songs for the reception. You go ahead.
I have to hear. Oh my God, what the fuck is it? Obviously everybody knows we love Mr. Brightside.
Yeah.
But I need an emo hour.
Yes.
I need an emo hour. It's just me. I know not every client is going to have it. But I think, I don't know why, but a lot of my couples that seem to gravitate to me, I don't know if it's the vibe, but they seem to always have one. So that works for me. But I will say a song that gets me going always is, I can't even say it without butchering it, but that Bad Bunny song.
I don't. If I heard it, I probably know it. I don't know.
Did I say that right, Matt?
What's the Bad Bunny song that she's talking about? I don't know.
Oh, that one?
Pregunto. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
It gets me going. I lose my mind.
I have to hear it because
I fucking love Bad Bunny.
Yeah. Well, he does most people get hyped when they hear him. I don't know any Bad Bunny songs by name. I just know when
you'd know that one.
I'm sure I would. I'm sure I would. 100%.
Or Gasolina.
Gasolina? Gasolina doesn't hype me up. It doesn't. I don't know. I'm just like, man.
You're too Caucasian for that.
I am. You're whiter than me.
I have a Hispanic last name.
Is it?
Not O'Brien, but my maiden name.
It's That's like Italian. I don't know.
Peralta. It's Argentinian, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. So, I don't. Personally, for me,
I have a little spice.
Personally, for me, I do love a good emo hour. Mr. Brightside always, it always brings energy out. I don't know other than that if there's a song that I get like hyped up. Although I do love a good boy band.
I love a good boy band.
I Want It That Way when everyone starts serenading.
Listen,
is so good.
Hearing 50 dudes sing all the words to I Want It That Way is a canon event.
Yes. Because you know what's funny? Most of the dudes, I think, when they were younger, like most of the people getting married
they
now,
suppressed their love for the boy bands.
I know I did. I secretly listened to NSYNC and Backstreet Boys when I was when I was in 7th grade.
We know it.
I'm not ashamed to admit it now. I'm 38 years old. This was like, God, 25 years ago.
Everybody loves the boy bands.
Listen, I could probably recite all the words to I Want It That Way.
You know what is another song that I
Tell
love to hear?
me why.
Ain't nothing but a heartache.
That's it.
So great. Another song that gets me going is Lit's My Own Worst Enemy.
Great song.
Great song.
I used to listen to them a lot when I was younger.
So great.
I had that. That was one of my first CDs that I've ever purchased. Was
Do you remember your first CD?
Yes, I do.
What was it?
Oh man, you're gonna laugh. Chumbawamba, Tub Thumper, iconic. I get knocked down. That was my first CD. I vividly remember that was the first CD I ever purchased.
Incredible.
Yeah, but what a CD to purchase. That was a horrible band. One hit wonder. Wow.
Rude.
Absolutely rude.
What about not play songs?
Not play song? Well, wait, hold on. What was your first CD?
Oh, it was Spice World.
Oh, but that's, come on.
Yeah.
Iconic, you know. Not play songs. Oh my God, September. I fucking hate that.
I was just going to say, can we not?
Every wedding's kicked off with September.
Do you remember? Like for an entire summer, we knew what every DJ was going to play as the first song.
Yeah. Is that and Michael Jackson, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough? Oh, God, dude, I love Michael Jackson, but stop. Stop kicking off the wedding with those songs. I could understand if it's the 21st night in December.
The Justin Timberlake one, too.
I don't know.
Don't Stop the Feeling.
Oh, that
whatever that one
sucks.
is. I'm done.
That's from the Trolls soundtrack. It's terrible. Yeah, I hate those songs too. But yeah, if you're gonna say number one with a bullet, it's September.
Yeah, let's.
Horrible.
We're done.
Okay. Next one. You read it.
Do you send your clients a gift at any point after the wedding? I am the gift.
Oh God.
What?
No, I never did. I know a lot of vendors do. I used to, actually, now that I think about it, I actually used to, but I kind of put it was a part of the package.
You now like provide things during the wedding.
Yeah. So I do a lot of things that people don't realize. Like I'll take Polaroids. I'll do film. Like that's not included in I'll take film shots and, send them film later on and stuff like that, like film shots and things like that. So, I do that stuff as like a complimentary gift, but I don't include like a, keepsake box or anything. I used to back in the day when I was only doing like 10 to 12 weddings a year. But now I do like a lot more volume. It's hard to keep up with that stuff, especially now as a dad and a parent and all that stuff. It's
a
just
bit too much for me to manage.
I got a lot going on that I can't keep up with that stuff. All power to you if you send a gift. I think it's actually very nice if you do. I think
it's a fantastic thing to do for like your client experience. I just don't have the time, and I can't.
Same. I think as a client experience, there's nothing wrong with doing it. We'll never knock anybody for doing it, but at the same point, I just don't have the time to do it. Well,
now I feel like an asshole.
Yeah, same. Sorry.
Cool. Thanks, person.
Thanks.
Great.
Wow. All right. I have the next one, right?
Yep.
Favorite ways couples have taken care of you on a wedding?
Well, you got a nice vendor table with a little thingy for the vendor table.
That's true.
Thought that was a nice
One of my
touch.
all-time favorite brides. I love you, Jill. She literally branded the table, the vendor table, with our logo and all that stuff.
And I wasn't there.
You weren't there. It's upsetting. Meredith had a good time.
Vendor table junior.
Vendor table junior. But that was really cool. I don't know. Like, I think, like, honestly, like, most of my clients are just very nice, and I don't expect anything from my clients ever.
No.
Ever. So, I did have one client years later, shout out to Emily and Tyler, who, I just photographed their family. They got married, I think, in 2021, that, she put together, when I photographed the family, a gift basket of like all my favorite things. Like, she got me a towel, like a beach towel, like the Islander stuff. She gave me like a scented candle, like some like fun little things that like a box of cookies and things like that. That was like super sweet. That I was like, oh my God, like that was so nice. I've had couples get me beer, like the Islanders are my team, my hockey team, and like they've gotten me like beer and stuff like that, like the Islanders branded beer, and like some little things that were like really cool, that I just did not expect. So there are so many things that couples and clients have done for me, nothing like that like I ever expected, that I'm just like, I don't expect those things. So you don't have to do that as a client.
I mean, like I had last year, my couple, Taylor and Hunter, they gave me like a custom hoodie with their names on it and the wedding date and
That's
whatever. Cool. A candle that said "smells like photographer up in this bitch," which I loved. A little business card holder that in the shape of a camera, which
cute.
is adorable. So little things like that, but like those are just, that's her being extra. Like, like you don't have to do things like that for us. We are just happy to be asked, like, if we need a glass of water.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. Like, I think like couples always ask, like, did you eat? Did you eat? Did you eat?
That's my favorite question. The answer is no. And yes, I'm hungry.
So usually like we're more than happy. Like,
I would love a snack.
You want to take care of us on a wedding day. I know a lot of vendors require it in their contracts, but like a vendor meal like is always very nice. And I think, while most venues and most couples will take care of you, like I think when you are taken care of as a vendor and you're fed, that's probably the nicest compliment.
Yeah. Give me lots of hugs and dance with me too.
Yeah. So,
cool.
Speaking of, we're gonna talk about it for a second, because everybody asks us this question, and they want us to talk about it on the pod. And Laura and I both said we will never talk about this. And
we're never gonna tell you a number.
Yeah. Because it's none of our business.
This is actually a question that's on here, so let's go straight to it.
But the tipping question. A lot of people ask, like, what should I tip my vendors? How much should I tip my vendors?
Or like, vendors will say something to us like, oh, I didn't get a tip or something like this.
I'm going to be honest with you. We're not going to severely address this because of the fact that like tipping, that it's not mandatory. And I think we live in a society with like tipping culture and things like that, where, people kind of expect tips. Like, listen,
we both feel exactly the same. So
it's never necessary, but it's always appreciated. So if you want to give a little extra to a vendor, listen, we appreciate it. But if you don't have it, you spent a lot of money on your wedding, that's okay too. And I'm never going to be like, oh, I didn't get tipped or anything like that.
You paid me thousands of dollars.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of entitlement from vendors in the industry that they expect a tip. I will say this, if like, say you are like, say you hire a studio or you hire somebody that works for, like a
larger
company, then I think like tipping is really appreciated, because those people might not make as much as like an independent business owner. So I think in that case, like, maybe like a tip is a lot more appreciated. Whereas like us being business owners, like I give tips a lot to my seconds, like especially I'll give them more than what I like. If somebody hands me a tip envelope, I usually either split it or give my seconds a little bit more than me, because at the end of the day, like they're my client, I'm making more of the income here. So, but I'm never going to say a number.
No,
never going to say a number. And there are planners that have tip sheets. There are websites that have tip sheets and things like that. Honestly, you give what you can. You give like, you know, what you feel is right. I've had couples come back to me and hand me more money because of the job I've done and stuff like that, which is always appreciated. Like I said, but never necessary. Never necessary. So that's all we're going to say on tips.
Mm-hmm. That's it. So from this point on, we're never going to answer any more questions about tipping, how much to tip. You're not going to hear us bitching about not getting a tip, because why? Mm-hmm. It happens. Get over it. It's not a big deal. Okay, moving on.
All right, you pick the next one.
How do you get the best candid photos?
Oh, great question.
Yeah.
You want to tell the audience how you get the best.
The key is movement.
Yeah.
A lot of movement and prompting instead of just posing.
Yep. Prompting over posing is the best thing you could do for candid photos. I incorporated to all my poses, which are considered prompts, like a lot of hand holding, walking, looking at each other, just like touching each other, moving hands up and down, like, you know, like just moving hands a lot.
Yeah, it's just constant movement. So even if they're like holding hands together, right? Just giving them the freedom, telling them that they are free to feel the moment and like touch each other, you know, do little scritchy scratchies on their faces, or like whisper something in each other's ears. Giving them a prompt to move and have organic moments with each other definitely helps get you, whether it's candid or not, or like semi-candid, to give you an organic looking photo as opposed to just your standard looking at the camera, robotic.
Take a little step back too, let them do their thing. Sometimes like couples are a little bit more organic than others. Like you just kind of like prompt them to do something and they'll just do it, and you could kind of be a little more hands off. Whereas like some couples might be a little more uptight, a little bit more reserved. So, you know, you might have to direct them a little bit more, like move your hand up and down this way, like grab his face, like, you know, like scrunch his beard, like, you know, tilt your head that way. But like you're doing it organically and you can kind of direct through the scene. So that is where I think you get the most like organic and candid looking photos, is where, you know, you're kind of directing them through the movement. But if they're really good at that, you know, you could take a step back.
The unscripted posing app is a really good resource for if you're kind of stuck on prompting, like if you don't know a good prompt and you want to save some. There's a lot of like really good images to look at, and then it'll list what the prompt was to get that reaction. So it's a really good resource for people who need help along the way.
I've used it once or twice, like the free version of it, like, cause they have some really good prompts for like free poses and stuff. And like sometimes you're like, you get in your own head and you like forget what to do and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. You hit a roadblock and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Or you cycled through your normal flow and you're like, oh my God, I still have time. I went too fast.
Yeah.
And you need some extra.
Yeah. So, that's probably the key right there is, you know, movement. Movement is key for candid photos. So always move your couples.
Totally.
200th of a second for shutter speed if you want to freeze them, and then anything below that if you want to kind of have a little blurriness to it. You know, don't go too blurry. It's just my personal take. So we want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Maru. Maru is a modern payment experience for the wedding and events industry. Lauren, have you been using Maru a lot lately?
I've been using Maru to pay my contractors.
That's a great
way. And send invoices. It's really easy. It's great to pass off the processing fees. So it saves me a little bit of money, and it's also really easy and straightforward for everybody to pay. Whereas sometimes it can be a bit of a process to use other companies like Venmo or Zelle.
Oh, yeah. Like we hate those processing fees. So
annoying.
Maru does give you the ability to do that and pass off those fees. It's a community, over 9,000 wedding and event professionals, and they're growing every day. They offer seamless transactions and hassle-free payment experience, and they make it possible to focus on what you do best, creating a memorable experience. All right. So with Maru, we talked about it, but you can accept and make payments without processing fees, offer clients a simpler experience, no need to sign up, just pay and go, and keep all your payments neatly organized in one central hub. And like Lauren said, if you have contractors, second shooters that like work underneath you and you need a quick way to pay them and avoid those fees that like, Venmo throws at you, things like that, well, Maru gives you the ability to pay contractors right from the platform. Makes things so easy. You could sign up for free at maru.us/TVT. Do you have the next one? You pick the next one.
Did I?
I don't know. Just you could pick it though.
Should venues have liability insurance?
Yeah.
I feel like everybody should have liability insurance.
Everybody in the industry. Have it. Get it. I think most venues do have it.
I think the person that sent us a question said that a few venues around their area don't have it.
How? How do they operate without it?
I don't know.
Maybe it's like a state law or something that like, I'm pretty sure you need it here. As a vendor, you should have it 100%. You've all seen the sprinkler clip.
We know we need to have liability insurance here.
Yeah, but I think as a venue, you should have it too, because God forbid anything happen on your property,
Can you imagine?
You could be liable. Yeah,
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, like what if somebody like trips in a hole or something and breaks their ankle? Like you're liable. Like what if, like you had exposed outlet that, like sparked and caught fire? I don't know. Like there's a lot of shit that could happen.
Venues have burned down before.
Yeah,
this is a thing. So.
Yeah, so I think you should. We're not legal experts here.
Go ask the Law Talk or the legal page.
But I think you should. So
anyway.
Okay.
This is a great question.
What's the next one? Do first shooters ever feel in competition with their second shooters?
I'm sure someone somewhere does, but Mike and I do not.
No, you should never feel this way. If you are, then you need to work on yourself as a photographer.
You need to work on your confidence.
Yeah, because if you feel like your second shooters you're in competition with your second shooters, I think that's your own issue.
Your second shooter is there to elevate your work
and support you.
Yeah.
It'll give you complimentary angles. At the end of the day, they are your photos that they are taking, but if you feel like you're in competition with them to create better angles, then, I think it could come down to two things. One, second shooter could be like maybe overstepping in certain areas, which you have to like kind of direct them on what you need to do. And two, I think it's your own self-confidence holding you back. Mm-hmm. So don't feel like you are ever in competition with your second shooters. If anything, they're there to help elevate your brand and your business.
There's a couple of things where it could put a sour taste in your mouth. Like, for example, if your second shooter is promoting their business during a wedding, you're shooting under your brand. That could put a sour taste in your mouth and could feel like competition, in which case I would say, you're not the second photographer for me. You know?
A second shooter should never be promoting themselves at another person's wedding, ever. Like,
Do you think I go and second shoot one of Mike's weddings and I'm like, hi, I'm Lauren O'Brien from Lauren O'Brien Photography. You should follow me. Here's my business card.
No.
It's a quick way to get blacklisted in the industry.
Yeah, like you're going to get a bad reputation if you do that. So if you're a second shooter and you're supporting a main photographer, you are there to support the main photographer's business. So if somebody asks you for like, hey, like what's your card or anything like that, you give the main photographer's info. That's just like, it's like a standard compliment in the industry to do that. Like, especially if like that main photographer hired you for the day to help support their business, you give out their business. And if you're the main or you're the second on their day, you should do the same thing. So I think that's probably where this question came from, is maybe like a second shooter was overstepping a little bit. And I think if you're the main and you feel like your second shooters are overstepping, take them aside, talk to them a little bit about how you want to do things. You should probably
should be a
standard conversation with
ahead of time,
like anybody you hire. But if like you feel like, you had that conversation and then on the day of they're still overstepping, take them aside, explain what you want, and like clear the air a little bit. But you should never feel in competition with your second shooter, ever. I elevate my second shooters. I want my second shooters to succeed. I we talk about her all the time. We're going to have Meredith on because
Meredith.
she's, like basically, like she calls me photo dad, but, I basically helped establish her business. And my goal as a main photographer is to always elevate my second shooters, to always promote them and always give them, insight and like the ability to succeed. So with Meredith, she started around 2020. I watched her blossom into an incredible photographer. I've never held her back. She still second shoots for me, much less than she has in years past, because my goal is never to keep my second shooters under my wing. My goal is to watch them grow, leave the nest, and flourish in their own businesses. And that's what I want for any single second shooter. And if you're a main photographer, you should be doing the same thing. Should always be rotating your seconds to, there's going to be a new second shooter that takes a Meredith's role very soon. Like that, I have a few that I have my eyes on that like are young, hungry, straight out of college, like that are like, wanting to step into the business. So that's where, you get a lot of experience if you want a second shoot and, learn from a good photographer, like really like learn from somebody who wants to teach. I do want to teach my seconds. So that's how it should be. I teach you some things, don't I? Do I, Lauren? Yeah. You can't sit there and say I haven't taught you things.
Business-wise, yeah.
Yeah, business-wise, exactly. Shooting-wise, you're well established as a photographer, so I'm not going to teach you anything new. In fact, you've taught me things as a photographer and vice versa, so it's fun. I can't look at you seriously anymore. I really can. It's your peanut head and the glasses are way too big for you, but I feel like that's a look. That's like a trendy look.
I don't know. We're feeling it out. Okay.
All right, you pick the next one.
I'm going to skip this one because this goes back to best gifts and goodies to get your photographers on a wedding day. Anything you give us,
we don't have to go in order.
We appreciate and love. You don't have to do those things.
We don't have to go in order of these.
Okay, here we go. Mother-in-law paid for the wedding and doesn't like the edits. The bride loves them though, but the mother-in-law is asking for them to be re-edited. What would you do? I would say...
Well, did the mother-in-law sign the contract?
That's the question.
Is the mother-in-law the client? If the mother-in-law is the client and sign the contract, that's a different story because technically they're the client.
Yeah, we've talked about this in past episodes. They can pay for the wedding, but the client is the person I'm photographing.
Yeah, the name's on the contract. The person that signed the contract is technically the client, even if somebody else paid for the wedding. So, but if the mother-in-law signed the contract, different story. So if the mother-in-law signed the contract, she actually has a right to ask for those photos to be re-edited because she's the client and she's not satisfied. I know that sounds shitty, but it's actually...
Well...
like if the...
Depends. Because they could give the usual spiel, like you booked me based on my portfolio and this is how I edit. Or you're going to face,
You could say, there are ways to defend yourself. Well, like, this is what you hired me to do. This is like, the style that I represented. It's indicative to my work and, everything like that. But, if a client that signs the contract is not satisfied with those said images, they do have a right to complain.
Yeah, because technically they're your client.
Yeah, so
But
let's just say
for shits and gigs,
the mother-in-law paid for the wedding, okay, and the bride or groom or the couple signed the contract, then no, you don't have to re-edit those photos. No.
You would just say,
no, the couple was satisfied and I don't have to re-edit those photos because you want them to be re-edited.
Yeah.
No, sorry. You can complain all you want about that. Great question,
I'm sure there's a lot of moms out there that don't like my editing style and are like, well, I guess I have to print this picture, but sorry, I don't know. Deal with that. That's what your kids liked.
Oh, I like this question. If you plan your wedding over again, what would you add or subtract?
I would remove the dumpster in my first look. On my end, I still really to this day would like to go with our original plan and just go to Hawaii. We were supposed to have our elopement, just the two of us in Maui. And I really want to do that one day. So That's not to say that I regret the way that my wedding was. It's still one of the best days of my life. Pat and I were just talking about it the other day. Like every weird thing that happened that day was perfect.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the dumpster thing I might have changed.
Okay. All right.
But everything else is fine.
Yeah. I said this before. I wouldn't change anything with my wedding day, even though I would never get married at the venue that I selected today. It's 10 years later. It's 10 years after I'm married. I had a great time at my wedding. I loved my wedding day. Everything. It was a beautiful day. It was 75 in July. When is it 75 in July? It was no humidity. So honestly, it was all my family and friends. It was people that passed away since then. If I could go back and relive that day one more time, I would, because it was a beautiful day. So I don't think I'd change anything. But if I were to get married today, let's just say my wife and I, we're deciding to get married, probably do something smaller, less people, and somewhere a little bit more intimate. I'd love to rent this a house and get married at the house and have all the family and friends stay at that house or something like that. I think that would be a lot cooler. Turn it into a weekend or something, or do a destination. But 10 years ago, I wanted the big wedding. My wife wanted the big wedding, stuff like that. So like I said before, we've said this before, but taste change, styles changes, all that stuff. So I don't regret anything.
Regret nothing.
No.
What steps put more eyes on you after you realized you're good? Like a good photographer?
Social media presence.
Podcast?
Podcast. Social media presence. Stories really helped. Instagram stories are a really underrated tool.
Yes. For the 50 millionth time, injecting your personality into your business.
Yep. Showcasing who you are. People get to know you a little bit more.
Be aggressively involved in posting yourself to your stories, whether that's you or your work. Mm-hmm. Stories are such a useful tool.
Tag other vendors that you worked with.
The amount of engagement that I got just from posting the behind the scenes yesterday from the weddings that I shot over the weekend was outrageous.
Yeah.
So now I need to post behind the scenes all the time.
I've been telling her this for years.
I just forget. I know that I need to do it, but it's hard to manage when you're moving at such a fast pace. I also have collections that are just me. So when I just show up, I don't always have a second shooter to help me do that stuff. So sometimes it's just really difficult for me to remember. So I got to get those meta glasses.
Yeah, they've been great. But no, just interjecting yourself into your stories, your Instagram stories.
Engage in Facebook groups too, your local groups.
Yeah.
There's small business groups.
And not just for when somebody posts a listing or something like that. Yeah, don't just hop on those. But post stories, post your favorite photo, or if tip and trick or something like that. That could always help. Mm-hmm. But the more active you are, I hate to say this, more active you are on social media, the more eyes are going to get on you. And injecting your personality into your brand.
Social media is king now.
Injecting your personality in your brand. It's part of it. That's how you get more eyes on you.
How are we almost at the end of this episode already?
We'll do 2 more. Let's do 2 more. All right. Next one. I
want to ask this one.
Okay.
Do you consider someone who shoots in JPEG a photographer and RAW more of an editor? This question bothers me because a photographer is literally just anyone who takes photos.
Yeah.
You can be a photographer. Anyone can be a photographer. What makes a professional photographer different is their knowledge, their experience. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, you're not a photographer just because you have a DSLR or something like that. You technically, yes, you are. Mm-hmm. And they taught us this in school, when you're learning that's the whole reason photography exploded, mm-hmm. is because Kodak made cameras accessible to the everyday person.
Yeah.
Before it was only something that extremely wealthy people could afford.
Yeah. Once the digital camera came into play, it really changed the game. But
No, the 35 millimeter camera.
Yeah, well,
in general,
35, but like I'm saying, like in the last like 30
of
years, like even more. It was like, you know, it went like this, and then like, you know, like to here, and then boom.
It's incredibly subjective, like what a photographer is.
Yeah,
like anyone can be a photographer, and to be upset that there's a novice hobbyist shooter with a camera, and you're out there with your really expensive camera and the experience, and you're dogging somebody who doesn't know even know what a raw photo is. Mm-hmm. Get over yourself.
Yeah, like I don't really
enjoy things.
I don't really get this question because like as somebody who takes photos, personally, if you are considered a professional photographer, the way you are considered a professional photographer, someone is paying you to take images. That's when you could call yourself a professional photographer. So it doesn't matter what format you deliver in, whether you're shooting in JPEG or RAW or anything like that. If you are getting paid to take photos of a subject, a landscape, or whatever, you could call yourself a professional photographer.
I also think, no, if you shoot in RAW, that does not make you an editor.
No.
It just means it preserves more detail in the images.
Yeah,
That's
it just means you could tweak the images even more.
So you have more flexibility with editing your RAW files.
Yep.
As opposed to a JPEG.
Yep.
So no.
So
let's not define what a photographer is based on their gear or what they shoot. Like photographers can shoot whatever the hell they want with a potato if they want to. Mm-hmm. Nikon, you know?
Yeah. You really want to do this right now at the end of the episode?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Whatever you shoot on, just like,
woo!
Just own it. Own it. It doesn't matter.
End it with violence. All right, let's go.
Last
one more.
Last one. All right. What's your favorite burnout remedy, Lauren?
10 hours of uninterrupted sleep.
As a wedding vendor, just a dark room with nothing going on.
Dark room, 10 hours of sleep. I don't want to hear anything, so I slip the earplugs in, and don't touch me or talk to me until the next business day. Yeah.
In the summer, give me my pool uninterrupted for 20
Vitamin
minutes.
D.
Yep. Vitamin D is a great way to avoid that burnout. Oh God. And it's a great remedy too.
I also, I knew that I had a triple this past weekend, so I only scheduled one session this week.
Yeah.
You know, it's knowing how to keep yourself sane.
Yeah. Know your limitations. Know, hey, if you have a triple header, don't take
it easy.
Yeah. Don't book a double for the following weekend.
I'm second shooting for one of them, so technically it's like one.
All right, let's wrap this one up. We still have more, but we'll get to another listener questions like down the road and stuff like that. You guys,
where can they find you, Lauren?
You can find me at laurenofirephoto.com, the Feral Photog, on Instagram, and
Is that how I talk?
No, it's not. I don't have TikTok because it's toxic and I don't like it.
That's
Michael, where can they find you?
I don't know. Michael Cassara Photo
on Instagram.
What's your website?
michaelcassara.me.
Oh, you don't actually even say your website.
No,
you can just
website.
Say your website.
No.
You can follow me at Michael Cassara Photo and on TikTok and
Instagram, TikTok, as well as my website.
Right.
And you can find us.
Instagram, YouTube.
I'm gonna do this part.
Help me, step in. The brain isn't It's not braining.
You can find us at the Vendor Table Pod on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, as well as
our Facebook group.
Guys, it's been fun. We'll catch you next time.
Okay, bye.